I actually just don't have any words for this community stream on this day. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. My name is Joesephyr, and I've actually just had to change my top from the community stream because it was green and it clashed with my green screen, so you would have had just a talking head. Welcome to my recap and overview of the community stream that we've just had from Square Enix for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. And oh boy, it's a big one. So strap in, watch this video, and get all the information you need to know for everything that's going to be coming out for the rest of October and November. And if that's all stuff that you guys are all interested in, then of course stay tuned and keep on watching. Of course, don't forget to click on all of the social media links in the description box below. Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, Discord, all that good stuff. I will be streaming on Wednesday, apparently, or Wednesday morning, because the new event that's going to be coming, that we'll get to in a little while, has been sprung on us a little bit. I was expecting to have to make my should you pull videos and everything for Warrior of Light, and now I'm going to have to rush around and make a new one. So definitely tune in on Wednesday, and any other times that you'll be able to come and find me playing Dissidia Opera Omnia, my Final Fantasy count-up, my schedule, my monthly schedule will be coming very, very soon, and will be built around Opera Omnia's schedule, so you guys can come and check out any event that's coming out so that I can clear it and you guys can come and join in with me. Of course, with Patreon, I shout out one of my patrons every time I release a video, and this time around that person's going to be Brea, who has great taste in RPGs. I'm just going to throw that out there because Parasite Eve was fierce back in the day. So thank you very much for your support as always. Don't forget to check out all the websites out there that are associated with Dissidia Opera Omnia, and of course don't forget to check out all the other content creators out there besides myself. So believe me when I say that this time around with the community stream, we got a lot of information, improvements, quality of life updates, character stuff. There's a lot that's going on in November for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. And a big thank you to Glacio and Josh, as always, for giving us all the information. And Josh, I gotta say, that Kefka look was fierce, and I'm here for it. And one day, I hope that you and I can do it together, so we can go to an event both as Kefka. It'd be absolutely amazing to do that. Anyways, on to the slides themselves. The first thing that we saw is something that people have been clamoring for months, and it's an improvement to the artifact system. Now, before now, people, like, honestly, myself included, the artifact system is probably the worst thing about Dissidia Opera Omnia because it's so tedious to go through artifact after artifact after artifact after artifact and have to try and get these passives from it. Well, with these new artifact tiers, the High Idoga and High Idoja, they're going to be a lot less painful. So with Link Bell rewards, just like the ones that you had before, these particular artifacts are different, and there are other content creators that go into much greater detail about these new artifacts, so definitely go and check those out as well. But for just the quick rundown on them, basically they don't require limit breaking anymore. You can just use artifact orbs on them instead, which are just a brand new version of XP orbs, much like your weapon and armor orbs instead. And if you have a mod pass, you will always get red passives, so attack 108, 2-star on your mighties and stuff like that. You know, you're going to get the maximum out of everything, so the only thing you actually have to worry about is the combination of what skills you actually get, rather than having to go through the white passives like attack 36 and defense 34 and stuff like that. You're just not going to have to worry about that. And not only that, but we get a quality of life update that, like, comes along with it. We're going to get a load more gold artifact tokens, because the actual artifact token exchange is also going to be changing, because you can now just exchange directly for, you know, having to do them one at a time, which is much better than having to get them in multiples of 3 or 4, so that you're able to just limit break them, because you don't have to do that with these new ones. And you're able to enhance up to 10 artifacts at the same time, and overwrite multiple passives at the same time, and you can hold 2 extra passives in your kit, so you can have a bit more variety in what you choose. Honestly, this is a quality of life update I've been waiting for so long, just because I don't want to sit there and spend hours grinding through all these artifacts just to see a terrible passive every time. And as someone who does purchase mod passes, it makes a huge difference in quality of life for me as a Dissidia player. And that's not the only thing that we're getting in terms of quality of life. That's not all. We're getting maps, like the map update as well. So basically you can clear normal and hard simultaneously, which means that my streams and everything will be a little bit shorter, but in a nice way, because it means I can do things that are actually relevant. I don't have to go through normal, unlock hard, and then go through hard mode. I can go through hard mode just off the cuff, and therefore I clear all of the normal stuff at the same time. So lost chapters are going to be a bit nicer, and story chapters are also going to be a bit nicer along with it. So that's just an amazing thing. We're getting an enemy HP percentage indicator, which is something that JP has had, as well as a total HP for multiple HP damage attack damaging moves. So you get to see the actual damage that your move has dealt. So moves like General Leo's Master Blade, ones that have multiple HP attacks, or HP dumps as they're commonly referred to, you'll be able to see how much damage total that move has done at the end of it. Similar to how you would see like in a burst where like at the end it tells you the total damage, but with a little bit less like a little bit less frilly. And the enemy percentage indicator, or the HP percentage indicator, I think is actually really great, because it's something that, like, if you know that there's thresholds for things, then you can plan around it. And just having that little percentage bar, as somebody who plays Record Keeper as well, having that percentage bar makes such a huge difference to your ability to play the game and be able to read things without having to kind of like magnifying glass up at the HP bar and think, oh, okay, well, it may be around 70 or 40%, whereas now you'll have an actual number. Autoing will now, on boards, on character boards, honestly, this is another thing I really love. It gets you past the lock gates. You only actually have to press auto once, as opposed to auto clears, unlocks the next one. Auto clears, unlocks the next one. It just speeds the process up, and that's what all of these quality of life updates have done, is just speeding processes up, which is fantastic. And as much as like I've seen in my chat for Twitch and everything, people were saying like, oh no, I'm not sure this is actually a good thing, but auto-redeeming treasure nodes on boards is actually pretty nice, if you ask me. Because, like, I mean, people are worried that like if you've got 999 tickets, then you'll be grabbing them when you didn't want to. But honestly, as long as you're careful, then it should be fine. And you don't have to do it if you're trying to stockpile your tickets in the summon boards. Just don't press that option. You don't have to do it. And then the Dimensions End related stuff, which is actually global exclusive as far as I know, is that you can now view a list of all the characters you can't use, and you can attempt to clear with restricted characters, so that you can go, well, maybe I want to try it with this. Like, I've used Ishtola in an older one. Maybe I'll try her in this one and see what happens. Because if you clear it, it resets the other tier and restricts the characters to the new one. So it means you can be a lot more experimental with your DE clears. There's a lot going on here in terms of quality of life, and we haven't actually even gotten to what's actually coming out yet. So coming up in a couple of days' time is going to be the Halloween campaign. Now the first thing that you'll notice here is free first multi-draws. We're getting more free multi-draws. Like, I think that this game, is one of its biggest benefits is how generous it is. Like, we had free multi-draws practically the entire month of the last month, and we're getting a bunch more. It seems really, really over the top in terms of generosity. We're getting more Chocobo panel missions, so that means more ingots and books. We get new stickers, which is adorable. The Moogle with the bomb on its head is really nice. And double artifact token drops in order to go with all these new artifact-related quality of life updates. However, the next slide honestly took me aback. Like, I don't think that anyone expected this, certainly not me, and they could not have picked a better character to do this for. Vivi is getting a global first LD weapon and a brand new costume, which I could have cried when I saw this costume, because it's Yoshitaka Amano's version of Vivi that kind of pulls a little bit from his trance version and his concept artwork. And honestly, I was just like, I saw the video for it and I was completely blown away by it. So he's getting a global first LD weapon, and to say that it's pretty good is an understatement. So Doomsday, as you can see here, it has 3 uses, consumes like a third or just under a third of all of your party's current HP, and then does 2 4-hit Brave HP with 100% AoE damage, fire and dark damage on all enemies. It inflicts fire resist down after the first HP attack, and it grants him a brand new sort of special buff or special effect, Memories of the Soul, which, as was pointed out on the stream as well, you can take notice of the fact that he has the little ticket for the play. If you've played FF9, then you know that, I mean, you know how much I love FF9, so I'm like squeeing over this LD. And then basically it's got 5 stacks of this ability that gives him more attack. It enchants him with fire, which is the biggest issue he had in his kit, is that half his stuff wasn't fire, and now it doesn't matter. And it gives him last stand, so he can't die if he's on like 50% HP or more. He gets 20% extra Brave Overflow on all of his attacks, and then after every turn, or after every one of his own turns, he triggers a 4-hit AoE Brave HP attack with 100% bravery or like HP damage with like it's just crazy. And it also refunds him bravery as well, and it also consumes some health. You can use this with Odin if you want to, like it was said on the stream as well. You could use this with Odin and it goes really well with that because it consumes all of your party's HP. So if you've got Leviathan or Odin where you've got or even Alexander where you can recover HP or get benefits for not having maximum HP, then this LD will trigger all of them, and it works really well. But that amount of damage and dealing that Embers of Darkness follow-up attack after everything, if we learn anything from Noctis, follow-up attacks are scary. So for everyone who is pulling on VVLD, because Lord knows I'm going to, I will release a should you pull video for him tomorrow. But I'm going to spoil it now and say it's a global exclusive thing. When have you ever known a global exclusive to not be completely overpowered? I will just say that now. And along with Vivi, we're also going to be getting a new Abyss chapter, which is great because we all need more resources for all this ridiculous amount of stuff that we're going to be having to pull on. So this one is inspired by Final Fantasy IX. And in the video, the characters that we used in the video were Vivi, Steiner, and Aiko. So my assumption is that that is the character that will be on the banner, and I'm fairly sure that they pretty much confirmed that on the stream as well. And there's a normal and hard mode, so you can put that new quality of life to use. And basically, I mean, the FF9 love, I can't. I'm so freaking excited. You cannot believe. So the thing that I was expecting to come out this week is actually coming out next Monday, and it's going to be the new story chapter. So starting November 2nd, we're going to be getting another character that I'm freaking out about, and I absolutely have to have, Warrior of Light. And both of his banners, because he's getting his burst weapon. With Vivi, I don't think that there is going to be a burst on his banner, because it's not tied to anything, and Kefka's already had his. Although I would love to be wrong, and for Kefka's burst to be featured on his banner, because I still don't have it, and I want it. But I think that that banner's not going to have any burst on it, but that's fine because VVLD looks to be that damn good. And then Warrior of Light is going to come along with Laguna, Thancred, Sync, and Agrius along for the ride, and you're going to be able to get his LD and his burst. Now, his LD is one that is really magnificent in terms of power because what Barsh does in terms of like HP soakage, like being able to take all the damage onto himself, Warrior of Light basically grants that to your entire party. So as long as they have his shield up, so basically he protects you from bravery damage, with his LD, he actually protects you from HP damage as well on top of it. So he's just a tank healer, just extraordinaire. And his burst is not mandatory to his kit, but it's definitely nice to have. It gives you a bravery gen that's equal to the amount of shield you have remaining. So given the fact that most of his kit is revolved around granting shields, then you're going to have a really, really powerful bravery gen to go along with it, plus extra uses of his LD. And along with this, we also get Lufenia difficulty, which I'm really pleased to hear somebody else pronounce it Lufenia, because it sounds much nicer than Lufenia, which was how I was pronouncing it originally. And as I explained in a previous video, which gave some clues as to EX-only characters that you could use that will help you within Lufenia, it's not like they're not going to carry you through all that. I will state that again, is that I wish I'd made it more clear in that video. But these characters with EXs are going to be helpful within Lufenia difficulty. They are not going to clear it for you. You will need to pull for LDs. You will need to eventually go for bursts as well. But Lufenia, as I explained in that video, has a special countdown, the orb. So if you need any help on Lufenia and what it is, then definitely read everything that you see on this slide and go back and watch my video on Lufenia difficulty as well. And there are loads of other content creators as well that have also made videos all about it. You also get high guard tokens from clearing Lufenia, which I didn't talk about in the last video. You get 20 every time you clear it, and you'll eventually be able to exchange these for high armor. So basically, they are even more CP, and they also give you unique party-wide bonuses depending on who you pick them up for. Be very careful who you spend these on. These are very limited. You will only get 20 from each Lufenia, so you're only ever going to be able to get one for a character each time a Lufenia comes out. and you're obviously going to have to start picking and choosing who you're bringing that to. So be very careful who you plan them out for. I don't personally plan on spending any of them until at least after Kuja comes out. So there's going to be a lot of wiggle room on who people favour in terms of using their high guard tokens, but just be very warned that they are very limited. After Warrior of Light banners and the story chapter, we're going to be getting 8's Lost chapter and Kurasame. Now, 8 is a character that a lot of people are excited for because he basically fixes all of his issues that he had before when he came out the first time around with his LD. He gets target lock using his LD, which is magnificent, and it basically makes it so that he counters pretty much every time the enemy flinches or does anything. And there's another character that's coming out a bit later on in November that also does a very similar thing, and counter-attacking is just a very strong thing in 8's kit, and he does a very large amount of damage just by doing that. So 8 may be a character that people are looking into. His first multi-draw is free as well, so honestly I'm praying that I get Warrior of Light's Burst. Like, even though I don't think it's mandatory, I really want it because he's Warrior of Light and I love him. And then after that, in November the 11th, we're going to be getting Kurasame's event. Now, Kurasame is actually a very powerful character who is very, very surrounded around extra HP damage. He inflicts a debuff on the enemies called Ice Prison, which makes it so that that enemy takes more damage from any HP source up to a maximum of 30%. And this stacks with things like Charlotta's buff that grants more HP damage and things like that. So you can make it so you're just dealing ridiculous amounts of HP damage in a short space of time. He also does a lot of damage himself and provides some like support auras, things like that. Kurasame is definitely a character that I will go into much greater detail in, as with 8, and all characters that are coming available in my Should You, Would You pull series. And then, you know, honestly, you can make your own decisions on that one because it's getting harder and harder and harder to try to detract people from pulling on these banners because they all look so magnificent. On November 17th, we're going to be getting a new summon board as well, which quite frankly, we're going to need it because we're going to need those tickets, we're going to need those resources, because with so many banners that are worth pulling on this month, and every month after it as well, I've literally just planned out my future pulls video and it's looking pretty scary if I'm perfectly honest. But there's a new burst character that comes with this banner, and honestly, I have no idea who it could be. I mean, it's probably a character that I don't even care about. It's probably one that I wouldn't recommend to anybody. I mean, it's not like it's going to be like one of my favorite characters or anything, so honestly, I would just skip this one entirely. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Alongside Bahamut is going to be Dimensions and Entropy 17. Now, this one is a particularly difficult one because you have to plan around the fact that enemies stop you from gaining bravery. There are other enemies that we've encountered that do this, but not quite within like Dimensions End's kind of restrictions. So the team that I'm probably going to use here, I'm probably going to take Strago. If I get Vivi, and I will get Vivi, then he's definitely one I might consider as well, although he does have bravery gain in his LD in his kit, so with focus and things like that, so he may not actually be that great for this, but basically you just want to bring characters that hit really, really hard, or characters that have auras that can also benefit your party, like Kurasame. I'm actually looking at bringing Rydia, because I've been looking for a reason to put Rydia into something, and I'm just excited to try and use her, because I've purpled her and I've barely used her, so I could fit, if you have any ideas for a team that can tackle this, that use Rydia, sound off in the comments below, because I really, really want to hear it. And I really, definitely am going to have that diamond plate, because it's much nicer looking than any of the basic below it. So alongside Bahamut's burst character, I mean, I try and make like silly jokes and stuff. It's Kuja. I'm really excited about it. You all know I'm really excited about it. I'm not even going to pretend that I'm not at this point. And when the Should You pull comes around, I'm sure it'll just be 20 minutes of me squeeing and running around the room. But after he comes out, he's also going to be accompanied by Gao's Lost chapter. Gao is the other character I was referring to when I was talking about 8, and he basically counterattacks with earth damage if anybody looks at you funny. Like, if any enemy looks at any party member that you have, Gao's just gonna go, more damage, please. Gao is a really strong character that is unfortunately placed in like the worst position possible in terms of where he's like, whether people are gonna have the resources to pull for him, especially now that Vivi's getting his LD and all of his magical goodness. But after him, on November 25th, we're also going to be getting Gladiolus. Now, Gladiolus is probably the biggest deal out of any character that is released this month, including Kuja, including Warrior of Light. Gladio is bonkers. He is still used in JP even now. It's only now that people are even considering other characters that can override him, because he is like a tank extraordinaire. So if you make any one banner the focus of your month, Gladio is one that you really should seriously consider. My plan in terms of pulling for Kuja is going to be tickets on his own banner, because then, tickets on his own banner to try and get his LD, and I'm going hard on gems on Gladiolus, because I want Gladio, and I'm going to have Kuja's Burst one way or another by the end of this month. And then finally, a little nice bit for those of you who spend a little bit of money on the game or anything like that, we're going to have a Black 5-day sale. So for Black Friday, which is going to be November 27th, we're going to, around that time, we're going to have little sales and bits and pieces. And last year we had the $1 or £1, because apparently conversion's a cow, for a little bit of gems every day for 5 days. And you actually get a decent amount if you do this every day. So do keep an eye out for this one, because it's actually kind of nice. So normally at this point in the video, I'd say that's it for this video, but that's it does not do this stream justice. We have had an insane amount of information. The Vivi, I can't get over it. I can't get over the Vivi LD. I have to have it. And that costume, sorry, I'm buying it. It's too pretty. I have it. I actually think that Vivi's costume is probably the best one we've ever seen in this game, if you ask me. And if you actually look, they have remodeled that character model to perfection to have that. It's like, honestly, in my eyes, it's the best costume I've ever seen. If you haven't seen it, go and look on Twitter, go and look on YouTube. There will be videos all over the place for it. And not only that, I get my boy this month. I get my Kuja and my Warrior of Light. And there's busted characters coming out this month in Kurasame and Gladiolus. This month is extremely exciting and scary, because we are also getting Lufenia. I mean, the fact that we're getting the artifacts come along at the same time as a character like Vivi, who has cursed artifacts, who really needs it. Like, it all just meshes perfectly, and I'm so happy. I'm really excited, but I'm also really frightened for my gems, because there's a lot to pull for this month. But as I say, that is going to be the end of this video. I will try and make a should you pull for Vivi as soon as I can. Obviously, I've not been given an awful lot of time to research it, but I will do my best to bring one to you before Vivi's LD banner goes live on Tuesday, tomorrow in PDT, Wednesday for people in Europe like myself. And that's going to be it from the video for today. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you were looking forward to all this stuff as much as I am. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course don't forget to click that notification bell for future videos I might be making on Dissidia or Final Fantasy in general. Thank you all very much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.